What is up, guys? It's your boy Ascrod94, and I'm here today with a new YouTube series called Nostalgic Games That Devoured My Childhood. I turned 30 years old last year and started to reminisce about my childhood. Nothing brings me more joy than thinking on my first video games. In this YouTube series, I will discuss games that I grew up with on the PS2, games that shaped my taste in video games and taught me a thing or two as well. Fun fact, I actually learned how to speak English through video games. I will be going through games' story, gameplay, and how it holds up today. So join me on this journey back in time, and let's remember together a simpler time, a time where our lives were all about coming home from school, booting up our game systems, and playing some of our future favorite video games. Let's get it, boys.
A Universal Interactive Studios production. Developed by Traveler's Tales. Crash Bandicoot, the Wrath of Cortex.
Starting off, we are going to talk about the first game I ever owned, Crash Bandicoot and the Wrath of Cortex. And what a game that was. After that title drop, you know little old me was ready to play. We are hit with an intro cutscene. Dr. Cortex and his henchmen are sitting around a table on his space station, discussing their Bandicoot problem, and are looking for ways to stop him once and for all. After some brief back and forth, Cortex brings up the keyword elements. This sparks an evil grin in Uka Uka's mask.
Get ready to face my wrath, Crash Bandicoot.
Meanwhile, on their island home, our heroes are resting and playing on Insanity Beach. And out of nowhere, a tsunami washes Crash and Coco ashore. Sensing Uka's involvement, Aku Aku travels to confront his evil brother. Upon arrival, he is shocked to see Uka Uka waiting for him with the evil and destructive group known only as the Elementals. After revealing his plan, Uka and his Elementals sends Aku away. Cortex plans to use their raw elemental powers to power his latest creation, Crunch, the Bandicoot Warrior, a more buffed up version of Crash designed to exterminate Crash once and for all. Okay, with the story out of the way, it's time to address the gameplay. You are introduced to a round room with portals leading to different levels. You can see there are other portals as well, but they are sealed off by an electrical force field. So all you can do is go through these first 5 levels. You can go through them in any order you want. Personally, I like just to go from 1, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, and then so on forward. But it's up to you how you do it. In each level, you have to collect purple crystals, as the combined power of 5 for each elemental has the power to seal them away. So Crash has to navigate these levels through platforming, vehicle sections, and sometimes taking the backseat and letting his sister Coco do the work. Now, in every review I've ever watched of this game, people always complain there are too many vehicle levels, which I can understand since Crash is first and foremost known as a platformer, but I would argue that the variety is more fitting for kids, giving them more variation, and changing the pace keeps them engaged for longer. And it's not like there isn't a healthy amount of platforming. I mean, firstly you have just going through the main level, then you have the bonus stages, where you do even more platforming. Sometimes you have to revisit them when you have the appropriate power-ups to do it. So I would argue there's definitely enough platforming to justify the game having a bit more variety. Now in this game, there are a total of 4 different collectibles. Crystals for the story, box gems, which you get for breaking all the boxes on a level, rare get gems, which aren't found on every level, but in order to get them, you have to make it around halfway through the level without dying a single time. Sometimes there's also other requirements, like having another rare gem, like in level 5, where you need a different gem to get through the barrier. And lastly, we have relics, and these are essentially designed to be used after you beat the game, because when you beat the game, you get the speed run power-up, which allows you to run twice as fast. So usually you would get the relics after you've already beaten the game. After collecting 5 purple crystals, all the other levels get locked off, and Crash opens up a new level, boss fight.
Well, looks like the Bandicoot's been busy collecting crystals. I warned you, Bandicoot.
Finally, I get to wrap my fingers around your puny orange neck.
In this game, there are a total of 5 different boss fights, which incorporates Crunch himself being powered up by one of the elementals. Now, in the first boss fight, he is powered up by Rocco, which, as the name suggests, is the elemental for Earth. And so Crunch's power is matching that. In level 3, we get introduced to the ball, which we can roll inside. It's kind of like a hamster ball. And in this fight, you have to essentially roll around and hit these rocks that are spinning around the arena. When you hit all of them, they combine and rain upon Crunch, dealing damage to him. You have to do this 3 times, and every time it gets harder and harder. Crunch can also hit the balls to make them ignite, so they deal damage if you hit, which is a nice little addition. I do enjoy it. And upon defeating him, you get your first power up, which I would argue is probably the worst power up I've ever seen in the video game, because the application for this specific power up is you use it twice in the game to like sneak on nitro boxes, and it's neat, but it's never really utilized properly. So I'm just like, why even bother? Why not give him something else, you know? After returning to the warp room, we are greeted to a cutscene with a very pissed off Uka Uka and a very scared Cortex.
Cortex! When are you and that super weapon of yours going to put an end to that interfering Bandicoot? You are beginning to test my patience! I'm working on it, Uka Uka. Listen, Crash, you may have outsmarted Rocco, but there are 3 more elemental masks where he came from. And just as luck would have it, they are all significantly more powerful. Ha! I have no doubt that the water elemental, Wawa, will make sure you never see the light of day.
Yeah, the water boy and I are gonna take you out. Ooh, I'm gonna rip you limb from limb.
When the cutscene is over, the second world is unlocked. And this next elemental is one of my favorites as an adult, since he is voiced by Gunnery Sergeant from Full Metal Jacket, Hartman.
Crash Bandicoot! You've got some nerve setting foot into my domain without an invitation. Don't talk back to me! I'll fix that attitude problem of yours!
After 20 levels of collecting purple crystals and defeating elementals, it's time to head to Cortex's main lair and defeat him and Crunch once and for all. However, we still need 5 more crystals to limit Crunch's access to the elemental powers. After we collect all 5, we are transported to the main lab on the space station, where Cortex somehow has gotten all the elementals, or possibly fragments of their power, locked away in capsules. I'm not really sure, because I believe we sealed them away with the first 5 crystals, but it's a video game, it doesn't need to make sense all the time. But this allows Crunch to freely access some of their power to attack Crash with. And yes, that is all 4 of the powers available to him at the same time. After dodging his attacks for a while, Aku Aku locks Crunch in place so we can shoot him with our Wumpa Bazooka. And yes, bazooka that shoots fruit. I can't make this shit up. Which allows us to temporarily break Cortex's control over Crunch, allowing him to knock Cortex down to us so we can give him the beating he deserves. We go back and forth like this a few times until finally defeating Cortex, which laments yet another failure. However, Uka Uka points out that Crash is only the crystals and not all of the gems, which allows them to resurrect all the elementals one last time to try to defeat him. So with that, the main game is essentially over, but if you want the true ending, you have to collect all of the gems as well, which requires you to also do all of the relics, because for every 5 relic you collect, you open up another secret bonus area. And I would argue that the secret bonus areas, they have some of the best music. My favorite is definitely Solar Bowler. It is something I use a lot when I do streams. And that is a good segue to talk about this game's soundtrack. I don't think there's a single soundtrack in this game that I don't like. I use them a lot for when I'm just playing games, just chilling out, or, yeah, like I said, streaming. And that is another good segue to talk about my Twitch. So come join me at Twitch TV/Asgard94, where I play Souls-like and RPGs on the hardest difficulty. Because difficult games makes badass men. And I would love to have you all. Now then, after getting all the gems and beating Cortex a second time, we are shown him hitting the base self-destruct button, because every base needs one of these close to where all the buttons are. Crunch, having finally regained his own independence, will join our heroes as they escape the space station. And I think it's kind of weird how they escape because they don't get into like an escape capsule or anything. They just jump from space. Okay, Crash, the same guy who dies to a pit. Now he's just jumping from space. I don't know how in the hell they managed to do that, but if it works, it works. And that's the last we see of these two evil people until Crash Twinsanity, which is another epic game I will talk about in the future. And now it's time for my final thoughts on this game, and that is that this game is a stellar product of its time, with a lot of variety to the gameplay from platforming, swimming, driving, diving, flying, rolling, and snowboarding. Some bonus challenges for the adept player, like speedrunning the game, getting all the boxes, and there's also a secret power-up you can get, which, well, I wouldn't say it's too good, but if you're a completionist, it's definitely worth it. The gameplay got me into this game, and as a kid, and more importantly as an adult, I always come back to this game every year to appreciate all the jokes and the amazing soundtrack. So I give this game a solid 10 out of 10 with a healthy dose of nostalgia, definitely not affecting my score at all. And I think the reason I love this game so much is I still remember getting the game in the store because I was with my mom and we got my PlayStation and I needed a game to actually play on the PlayStation. And I remember my mom asking like one of the employees, like, what would be a good game for a kid? And she said, you should try this game. It's kind of like Super Mario. You're breaking boxes and jumping on enemies and stuff. And that's all the suggestions she needed because she doesn't know video games too well. But everybody knows Super Mario, right? So if it's something compared to that, it's obviously good. Now, I would say Crash Bandicoot Wrath of Cortex is a bit more scuffed than the other titles because I think it wasn't finished completely. Because when you look at the box art for Wrath of Cortex and you compare it to the other games, it looks a bit more Uncanny Valley, a bit more cartoony than it needs to be, but I still think the game is wonderful. I still have my original PS2 copy, and I still play it on my PS2 every now and then, so all this gameplay you've seen is me recording gameplay. The only thing that doesn't really work on the CD anymore is the music, so I have had to incorporate that from from YouTube and whatnot. But I would still say if you have the option to get this game, whether it's through legal means or getting an expensive copy on the PS2, I would highly suggest giving it a try. It's a lot of fun, and if anything else, you should give the music a try because it's so freaking good. Now either way guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this little trip back through time. I will try to post a video here on YouTube every other week covering a game I grew up with, and they are many, let me tell you. I remember the stack I used to have of video games that used to be taller than me, because back in the day, the video games were a lot cheaper, so you could buy them more in bulk. And I always remember going to the store and always going to the video game section, sneaking a video game into my mom's cart, and she was like, oh, you wanted this, did you? Yes, please. Anyway, let me know down below if you ever played this game yourself as a kid or an adult, and let me know what you think of this video, as I can always improve, and feedback is always welcome. And as always, if you like what you saw, like the video, comment what you think, and subscribe if you want more. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye!